Hi guys, how we doing? It's 23 after 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Still the 31st of May 2023. Very frazzled and rattled. We were John C. of Roseman in California. We had came close, and I was very much surprised of seeing a shell game at work. Hearing one of the commentators of MSNBC, he was trying to give it into a more detailed explanation. I'm sure I'll find something about that here, but this is, of course, now he's going over to Donald Trump and talking about him. But the thing I wanted to see was the House voted on both sides to pass it to avert the debt ceiling, 314 to 117. That meant there was 149 Republicans and 165 Democrats who voted to raise the debt ceiling and to agree the deal that Biden and do I have to say his name, McCarthy, had agreed to. We won't be doing the debt ceiling for another couple of more years, but there are going to be spending caps to a point. They're not going to be touching Social Security or disability or Medicare. And I'm breathing a sigh of relief on that one. There was only about 71 of the Republicans, mostly the caucuses, and 46 of the Democrats who are voting in principle, voting all against it. But they knew that there was going to be a majority to get the debt ceiling taken care of anyway, and the bill was a poison bill for a lot of them. And only two Democrats and two Republicans didn't vote. Either didn't get a chance or decided not to vote, period, making their objection even worse. I would love to have seen a complete voting list on this one to see how many people of the House had voted, including if it was the Freedom Mouthy Caucus, because they kept saying they were going to be holding us hostage and doing this and doing that and threatening a hell of a lot of things. And about the most of the majority, and I'll probably say this, the GOP actually woke the hell up and realized what was going on. And hearing what the news commentators were saying like crazy, Biden was a master at manipulation at this point over here. McCarthy had no choice. He had no choice at this point over here. He had presented the poison pill, and he knew it was a poison pill. But the only thing he really wanted from Biden is a negotiation. To talk about it, to continue to talk about it, to show something to his side, his caucuses, that he was really serious about what was going on. But actually, I knew he was probably delaying the inevitable. We're just waiting for timing at this point. And there may be a few things that Democrats didn't like, and there was a lot of things that Republicans didn't want. But they had to vote it because if they didn't, they'd be defaulting the country, and they weren't about to do that. And the Democrats weren't about to do that either, but some of them actually said, well, we're not going to vote, but you're going to have the majority anyway, so what the hell? So now, the bill goes over to the Senate, where this time, Senate Leader Chuck Schumer and Senate Minority Mitch McConnell talk. And they get the members together in their own caucuses there and talk. And then they'll come up with something, hopefully, to put on the floor fast in order to get this debated and get it signed before the deadline. This has gotten me scared before getting into the House. And after I was hearing about what Lawrence O'Donnell was talking about on MSNBC, it was A lot of manipulation from the president to make sure that McConnell looked okay. He didn't look weak. He was going to be a strong guest. He apparently wanted McConnell. Actually, he President Biden wants McCarthy in office as a speaker. If he can work with McCarthy on some things, including this one, there may be some other things he could work with him. But McCarthy's got to keep showing the pretense that he's still under the Freedom Caucus, but he still has to have the authority in a maneuvering room. He's got to have the street creds. Do I have to give this guy some kudos at this point over here? My own damn pride is saying no. I gotta reluctantly say yes. I can't believe I'm saying the damn shit. Because I still don't have any faith or trust in the bastard in the first place. But I'll give him marks for this one. I'll give him marks for this one. He scares me. And I don't like him. He's too much of a con artist, and he's too much like Crunch sometimes. And a lot of people like his ass, and I don't. Is that because of political? Oh, great. Neighbors are going crazy again. Anyway. Neighbors yelling at each other. I'm not surprised. I'm just watching a reflection off of the flat screen television to see if there's been any other movement or anything else happening. And while they're talking about the Trump-related documents still having legal issues left and right, a recording came out and it's got Trump's voice that's going to be used in a court maybe, if it is allowed. Trump's attorney came on the CNN and had an argument with one of the moderates on there, and he was getting torn apart by two moderators actually. Guy says, "I'm not going to debate this on CNN. I'm not going to put this in a. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to agree. I'm not going to do this. How dare you?" CNN put him on there to put the guy on record. So, got him on record. So see what happens. Meanwhile, am I going to be breathing a sigh of relief? Until that bill gets passed, until that debt ceiling is officially done, I'm going to be holding my breath. Hopefully until the federal allotment comes in, I'll be able to pay rent. So it scares the hell out of me every time we get into these kind of situations regarding the federal government. If they go through a shutdown, there goes the money. It has to be constantly. It's got to work. It's got to work. Otherwise, I don't get. I don't get anything. I don't get a roof over the head. I'll be late. They'll be charging me $50 a day until I'm actually able to pay more of the rent, and it's already expensive right now as it is. And I'm worried about the bills if I'm going to be able to pay them. How it works for me at the end of the month, I think I've talked about this one a few times, so maybe you haven't caught the video because I hadn't labeled it correctly. But basically, when you're on government allotment, either Social Security or disability, maybe a pension plan, maybe a fixed income that you got. You have to balance the bill. You have to balance the bills. You have to balance your budget. You have to balance it every single month. You have to keep calculating how much you've got that's going to be able to afford whatever you can. And what I'm getting right now is barely enough to pay for the rent, pay for the bills, the utility, the electricity. Well, the utility, electricity is the same thing. There's the phone. Well, cable and internet I do need because combined package expensive as hell, but I still got to get a better one than that. But I still need something so I can use and utilize whatever I can. I also needed a faster internet because if I have to go to online classes again, I need the speed to do it. So I have to do that, which only gives me a nearly half of it to use for either incidental purchases. Little bills are going to be popping up here and there, maybe about 100, 150 maybe. They eat at my thing. Then I'm only left with a smaller portion to feed my ass. I don't get that much of an allotment regarding SNAP because how much I'm getting from the government allotment. If I was getting a lot less, I'd get a lot more in food. Now I have to keep balancing it out, what I can and can't get. And sometimes making menus is a little hard because I have to still balance things out left and right. When we had the COVID-19, I was actually able to utilize the full resources of what the SNAP was providing and also the government assistance. The government payments coming in that I was actually able to utilize to get substantial dry goods coming in, wet goods from delivery services, so I can still, you know, not starve. But now we're past it. Now I got to manage with what I have right now as it is. If there was any little extra, it's already gone. So now it's the monthly allotment I have to constantly deal and live with. Sometimes it takes me about a month or two just to get laundry done. And I got backlog and I got to get rid of, get cleaned. It's not easy living on a fixed income. I don't ask for anybody else. I don't ask for help from anybody else. I just live within the means. Don't call me a conservative. I'm just trying to be a survivalist. Nearly every single day I got to keep a tally. It's like working with your checkbook every single month when you actually had one. And not the electronic crap. I'm talking about an actual paper book that people actually used. And every time there was a withdrawal or a deposit into your account, you always had to write the damn thing down. You always had to keep managing every damn dime and penny you got in your bank account. And you always had to compare that to the bank because you don't know if the bank's going to screw it up or did you screw it up. And you always had to keep double checking every so often just to make sure that everything else is correct. Better actually hire an accountant to do your dirty work or the bookkeepers, but basically I did my own. Really wasn't good about it, but I was still struggling about it. So now, these days, I do electronically, one way or another. Keep track of what I've got. Probably a mistake for me to say that, but I'm going to say something about it. I have to find ways to keep track of it and hope that both sides are balancing out. And it's every month I struggle with this. I have to. I have to. I may not get the things I would like to have. And then again, I have to keep looking at this stuff and saying, do I really need this crap in the first place? I mean, honestly, would I need to have a drone to fly with? A robot car? Or actually, radio controlled car to play around with. I mean, an army of DVDs would be nice and Blu-rays. But if I can find the stuff online on streaming and be a lot cheaper, then I'll do that. I always find the economics left and right that you can. But this is the constant struggle. This is the constant struggle I deal with and live with. And now I gotta worry about transportation for next term coming up in a few months. How much am I going to be able to figure out is how many days a week am I going over to the class? And it's usually a round trip, so I have to figure that out. Then multiply that throughout the month, and that'll give me something to work with. So I have to work with that a great deal. I got bills I still need to pay for regarding medical. That's not going to be the easiest damn thing right there, but it's not supposed to be. Only I have a problem trying to pay the damn bills because I don't know where the hell to send the money to. And it's got to be at the beginning of the month because that's the only time when I get the money. The rest of the time, I'm struggling. And it's going to be taking up a fairly good chunk. So what happens a few months back? That I had sprain in my wrist. And it would have been better if I actually taken the bus over to my doctor's office to have it treated and taken care of in the urgent care. It would have been a hell of a lot cheaper instead of going to the emergency room via an ambulance. Well, at least for them, I didn't get any medications for the damn wrist. Just threw a wrist brace and that was it. And the other thing, they took an x-ray, found out it wasn't broken, it was just muscle, gave me a wrist brace, and that was it. I'm going to write the damn thing off on that one. But a doctor who had never seen me, he's charging me. A nurse saw me, but a nurse was under the same doctor who was signing off. So that was insane right there. So I'm dealing with what I got. Next few days will be, we'll see. If I get my money, I'll be able to pay rent. And we'll see if the bills get paid, and we'll see if let's see if everything else calms down a bit. Meanwhile,